Hey there. So this is going to be a little different today. I want to speak to a couple of videos that I saw in the last 2 days. One from Rick Beato's channel and the other from the Professor of Rock. And they are addressing the copyright claim issue here in the West. I say here in the West because as a reactor to music from the Far East, I don't think I probably deal with as many of these issues as they are dealing with. But it made me think of something, and that is, why is all of the music that I am playing from Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, even Australia, New Zealand, all of these places, why are those bands sharing revenue with creators when here in the West, if I were to throw a Western song up, a classic rock song, I would probably have a copyright claim before I could get the song loaded onto the channel. And in fact, a time or two that has happened. I do not cover Western music very often, and that is not the reason. I wanted to cover these Japanese bands because they were fresh and new, and as I've told you before, all of my kids and friends were like, what are you so excited about? So I thought I'd start this channel and show them. But it surprised me when I started putting a few songs from the West up, how intractable is probably the right word the music companies were in allowing the song to be played. Now, it goes beyond just sharing revenue. They block the songs a lot of times. And it's my understanding that some even somehow manage to put a strike on a channel right away. Now, my understanding is 3 strikes in 90 days and your channel gets taken down. Now, if you're someone like Rick Beato who has millions of subscribers, that's your livelihood, or it's a big part of it. I'm certain that Rick has a lot of irons in the fire. He just strikes me as that kind of person. But nevertheless, this is something they love to do, like I do. And you don't want it taken away from you because you've either made a mistake or you've not been given a proper hearing as to what you're doing with that music. If Rick Beato chooses to show us a principle of music through the use of a classic rock song, he ought to be able to do that without being struck by copyright issues. Now, the Professor of Rock likes doing the top 10, and it's getting to the point where it's undoable for him because of the copyright claims. Now, if you get a claim, it's different than a strike. You get a claim, you can dispute that claim. But once you dispute it, if it dispute is rejected, you dare not argue because you're allowed to dispute a second time. But if you do, you'll get a strike if you lose that dispute, and you're going to lose it. I mean, if you lost it the first time, I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to try a second time. So why is copyright important? Because I have viewers that come into my comments and worry that I'm taking revenue away from a band when I run a song that may be under copyright. Like recently I had a video where it was behind a paywall for the band on one of their websites, and somehow somebody had posted it and I had used that clip. Now, it's my contention that something like that shouldn't have to be worried about in the 21st century. But we all know that the internet's a huge place, so it's going to happen. So how do we deal with that? Well, I don't know the answers. I only know that this strikes me as smelling of the same kind of recipe that we had when radio screamed about cassette tapes, because you could record the music right off the radio. You didn't have to go buy the album. And then it was recordable CDs. There was a big battle over whether or not you should get blank CDs that you could write on. So this is not a new battle. It's just morphed into a new form. But this is the 21st century. And in the 21st century, you don't go to Sam's Music Club and buy albums anymore, or cassette tapes, or CDs. You don't buy a whole album because you love one song that you've heard from a band and hope the other 9 songs are good, right? Now you can just buy the one song, and that's all you need to do. So bands are having a harder time promoting themselves. Their catalog of music is broad in many cases, and you'll never hear it because you're buying the one hit that they have on the radio. And you may never hear Bandmate. You may not even know who they are, as I didn't know who they were for the first 10 years of their existence. And that's wrong. That should not happen in a world with the World Wide Web at our disposal. So I think this has to be addressed. And Rick has been to Congress and testified before them about these very issues. And I just want my voice to be in there saying I support wholeheartedly a change or a modification of the copyright laws to include people that are promoting and or using music as educational aids. A 9-second clip of Whole Lotta Love by Led Zeppelin should not get a copyright strike. It just shouldn't. And I've watched Rick have to modify a riff to show you a music principle, but he can't play the actual riff from Hotel California, for example. And there's something not right about that. That's gone too far in terms of copyright protection, because the copyright doesn't just protect the musician, it's for the record companies. And I just saw the professor of rock say in some cases a similar sounding song written by somebody in Brazil can claim a copyright claim on it even though it's not even their song. So this has to be brought under control in some fashion, some way. Now I realize this is off the cuff. I haven't done a deep dive into this yet, but I'm going to. And there are going to be more videos about this, because what these gentlemen are doing, the professor of rock, Rick Beato, and others, is to press an issue that needs to be pressed. And again, I don't feel like I deal with it as much as they do, but I, 2 or 3 months ago, considered a second channel called Classic Rock Candy. And I rejected the idea ultimately, and here's why. I did not want to deal with all this. And that's the bottom line. I just did not want to try to play for you some of the music that I grew up with, some of the music that influenced my playing, my musical tastes, because I did not want to constantly run the risk of my channel being struck 3 times in 90 days and then being taken down with no recourse for putting it back up. I mean, it's gone when that happens. So this has to be addressed. And I think that artists and record companies alike need to understand that this is a good thing for them. These gentlemen love what they do, and I love what I do. For me, it's a hobby. For them, it's become much more than that. And this issue has to be addressed in order to put to bed what is the procedure? What are the boundaries? How do we stop false claims against music? How do we promote bands without playing their music? How do we do that? We can't do that. So I don't even know if I'm going to post this, because I've said nothing really to add to the conversation other than this channel will support all of these other creators that are now banding together to address the copyright issue. I thank you for watching me, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. Give this some thought. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you later. Bye now.